The last video ended up with a question of what makes the blood move. And we understand from Newton's first law that things cannot just start moving. So what makes it move? Yes, it's heart. In this video, we are looking at human heart. So we are looking at role of the heart. So basically, this blue lines per se represents deoxygenated blood, that is blood without oxygen, and the red ones is oxygenated blood. So the deoxygenated blood from the different part of the body has to go to the lungs for filtration, and we have seen that filtration, right? Capillary, aorta, and all of that. And with oxygen from the lungs, oxygenated blood from the lungs has to be pumped to every part of the body, and that is done by heart. So let's learn about heart. So this is your textbook diagram per se, and this is my simplified version. So let's start with this person over here. So the person is looking at us. This side is left or right of the person. Right, and that would be left. So that's the starting point, and say this is this person's heart. This person has, or even including us, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 chambers. Okay, guys. This side is this person's right, and this is the person's left. Right? All of that is quite simple. Okay. Now, this small set of chambers has a special name, and this bigger set of chambers has another name. This is to do with this particular name. Can you guess what it is? These two chambers have this name. A triangle atrium. This is a air vent. So we have a vent and a triangle. This is ventricle. Okay, guys. So this two are atrium and this two are ventricle. Since this is on the right side, so this is the right atrium. Obviously, this will be left atrium, left ventricle, and that's your right ventricle. Okay, so here we have your right ventricle, left ventricle, and this is your left atrium, and that's your right atrium. Okay, very simple. Now, the blue color indicates, deoxygenated blood. So my question to you guys is, deoxygenated blood comes from the lungs or goes to the lungs? It mainly goes to the lungs, right? So this chamber pushes things out. Ventricles pushes things out to the required part of the body. So this is a pushing air. That's why the chambers are huge. And the muscles, you can see that these are pretty strong muscles because it has to pump, right? It has to pump to different parts of the body. With respect to right ventricle, it has to pump to the lungs, basically. Okay. So this is going to the lungs. So this is going to the lungs. It will go to lungs. Obviously, this too will be coming from different part of the body, right? These things are going towards the heart, and that's your going to the heart. So this is coming from different part of the body. This is from the upper body and this is from the lower body, right? So this is given a special name. This is from lower body, and this is from upper body. Okay, so that is indicated with this. So that's your VENA Keva from lower body, right? And you can see here we have it moving in, here it's moving in. So this is vena cava from upper body. Okay, guys. So what it does is it from here it pushes onto the right ventricle, and from here this is the exit, and that is pushed to your lungs per se. Okay, so it will spread out to lungs and it gets filtered and all of that. So clear? Right side has to do with deoxygenated blood, while the left side has to do with oxygenated blood. So obviously these two are from where? They are from the lungs. Okay, too many things to write. So let me shift it over here. This are from the lungs, and this has to do with pulmonary. This word is related to lungs. Okay, guys. So we'll be looking at lungs in detail. So that time I'll get to introduce these names as well. These are your pulmonary veins. Okay, so basically it comes from the lungs. So from lungs, again, I understand that there are too many things that I'm writing on the screen. So try to follow up. Okay, guys, these are from the lungs, this and this. So it enters your left atrium, and from there it gets pushed to left ventricle. Left ventricle has to be the strongest because it has to push blood to, yes, all the part of the body. And so this has to be very strong. So this guy is strong. Now it pushes out through something called as aorta. Okay, guys. And this, and including this actually, this are your pulmonary. I have written over here. Article. Not article, sorry. Atreus. So again, this is going towards the lungs and this is coming from the lungs. And so the word pulmonary. Okay, here too, that is the same. You have pulmonary. Right? Again, we have two, both the sides we have the lungs, right? So yeah, it's getting spread out to both. Again, I understand there's a lot to take in and there's a very small diagram. So let me revise it. So our heart has 4 chambers, 2 small one and 2 bigger one. The small one has to do with pumping the blood into the bigger ones. Okay. And yeah, the left side deals with your deoxygenated blood and the right side with the oxygenated blood. Obviously, deoxygenated blood should come from your body parts, other body parts, and it has to be pushed out to your lungs. Okay, agree? While oxygenated blood comes from your pulmonary, that is your lungs, and it enters the bigger chamber, and here this chamber is strong as it has to pump out to the entire body. It has to pump out oxygenated blood to the entire body. Does it make sense? So all the names and everything, it's quite simple. And one last name, of course, there's one more name. So see, when it's pumping, it should not go back. So we need what? We need a wall. And we do have walls. Pretty much everywhere there are walls. So that is part of your heart as well. Okay, so all in all, we have a proper structure for the blood to move around in our body. Take a second. Wanted to fit in everything, so yeah. Okay, so that was a mess actually, I agree. But that's how it is. Now, schematic representation of transport and exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide. Again, things can be asked directly and indirectly, so we need to learn it very carefully. So we have this to be our left side, but so this is your right for the person who's standing in front of us. So this is right, and this is right ventricle, and left. Okay. Again, just trying to revise. And this is obviously coming from where? Yes, this has to do with deoxygenated blood. So it is coming from the body. So this is from body, and it comes over here, and this is your valve, and it enters the chamber, and it will exit. This is to, yes, lungs, to lungs, and these are your, again, these names I'll teach you guys in a different way. Okay. While this, okay, I should not be doing that. It's confusing again. Let me write it over here with same color. Pulmonary artery to lungs. Okay, guys. So this is your lungs, within the lungs, and this small space is your capillaries. Again, we'll come back to this naming and the tricks to remember that in some time. So all of this happens. So what is happening over here? We have the deoxygenated blood coming in, and over here in lungs, what happens? Yes, there is exchange of gases, and we get oxygenated blood. So we have the pulmonary vein from lungs. So this is from lungs, is it not? And this chamber gets filled up, and a small push, and it goes over here. And from here, what happens? It gets pushed out to the entire body. This is to body, and this is given a special name, aorta, right? And yes, this is your artery, and this is your capillary again, but of different parts of the body. And these are your veins. Again, all of these names I'll be discussing in detail, but this is how generally the movement of the blood takes place. So this movement is directly asked indirectly asked in many places. Okay, guys. So this is pretty important. And finally, reading a heartbeat. This is not in syllabus. So this is for just for understanding. Actually, this helps in, I'll be talking about this in time. I think in blood pressure, I'll be talking about this. So we have the contraction of your chamber, and ventricle and relaxation and ventricle relaxation. So lubbed up, right? So the heart. So we can see what I'm trying to show here is ventricle contraction. The push from the ventricle is so high. It is the strongest. To make that point, I have this graph. Okay, guys. So let me explain this in detail a bit. So atria contraction. Since it has to just push, atria has to push next, just in the next chamber, the push is very small, you know. And then you have ventricle contraction, then the ventricle pushes. So what happens? That's a huge push because it has to reach the entire body. So this has to reach the entire body. This has to reach just the next small chamber, Okay. So it's just next door. And so the push is small. Atrial push is small while ventricle push is large. And of course, atria relaxes. That relaxation happens over here, and that being indicated, or that signal being detected, is very small. So this is very small. Ventricle relaxing, again it's a small process, as in not in comparison to the push over here. This is a small process. Okay, again this gives a different perspective on the same topic, so I have this, but this is not as per your syllabus, not needed. This is for understanding. So this is how our ECG, if you guys have seen ECG sheet, you know, you can ask someone, they might have it. So you get to see this long sheet and you get to see these graphs. Okay, yes. So role of the heart. Primary role of the heart is for pumping, you know, moving across all of this. Then, oh yeah, sorry, that was the role of the blood. Single phrase is to pump. Heart acts as a powerful muscle, pump, propelling blood throughout the body. This continuous pumping action is essential for delivering oxygen and nutrients to tissue and removing waste as well. Discuss the structure. There are four chambers, left and right atria and left and right ventricles. So separation of blood, this structure separates oxygenated and deoxygenated blood in our heart, that is. Effective circulation, the separation ensures that oxygen delivered to the body and carbon dioxide is removed, that we saw. Atria is a receiver, atria receives blood, right receives deoxygenated blood while left receives oxygenated blood. Ventricles pump blood, right ventricle pumps deoxygenated blood to the lungs while left ventricle oxygenated blood to the entire body. The valves helps in keeping the direction of the blood in only one direction. That is, when the pumping is happening, things has to close so that it does not go back to the other chamber or the blood stream and so on and so forth. Right? They should not be coming back. It should not be coming back basically, or it should not be going back in the direction which it came from. So that is controlled or helped by valves. So the sequence we understood, oxygen-rich blood will go to left atrium and left ventricle and then to the body. Deoxygenated blood from the body goes to right atrium, right ventricle and to the lungs. So again the same thing. So this is in detail. I think I don't want to read through this. We have discussed this in detail. And yeah, this question I have answered, and yeah, I'm back over here.